We're brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. This is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Nick Rynne, joined by Xavier Ellis and Ryan Daniels. Why are you smirking at me?
I
stumbled on a... No.
I think that is the first time in history you've actually gotten through all of the introduction stuff without stuffing it. What's happening?
It's definitely the first time this season.
After 6 years of him thinking, I might wing it.
Yeah.
We got some
he
notes.
actually wrote some notes down. I saw him reading them.
But it's been the same thing every single time.
Yeah, no,
for
I didn't have notes
6
for that
years.
one. Yeah.
You did well.
I checked.
Well done.
What
What's
round
happening
it was
with you? Were you in rehab or something?
I
Are you
just
clean?
felt ahead of it. I watched a bit
Are
of
you
footy on the
clean at
weekend.
the moment?
Yeah, I'm always clean.
Well, yeah.
I'm always clean. I'll take a test.
You call it clean living because it's from the ground. It's grown.
It's all natural.
It's all
Just
natural.
comes from Mother Earth.
Dude, in all seriousness,
Gaia.
though, if someone saw you and they were like, righto, we played a game, weed or not, and you had to say whether you thought they were bong heads.
Definitely, yes.
Me?
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
be the
yes.
Gary. It would be.
It's all the hats,
The hats, the beard,
Yeah, but that's
beard,
bald. Yeah, well,
the
the
baggy
beard's just-
T-shirt.
the eyes. There's
The
something in the
eyes.
eyes.
My contact lens has been hurting my eyes a bit recently, so I'm always looking a bit red, which is not.
Okay, convenient.
Sure, it's the contact
It's
lenses.
the contact lenses.
Sure, I bet it is. Hey, a gather round this week.
Yes,
We're
yes, go.
excited. Now I'm going.
Oh yeah,
Yes, but Nicholas, this man over here went last year.
got belted.
And as we know, he went to the Pepsi, what was
Big-
it called?
Big
the Pepsi
Pepsi-
room?
Pepsi
Big Club.
Pepsi
The
tent.
Pepsi,
The Pepsi Club.
And Big Pepsi lifted because, he is
Yeah.
Big Pepsi. Went mad, didn't see a minute of footy, had about 15 beers, didn't even touch a Pepsi. And
No,
became,
I drank a Pepsi thing. There was Pepsi and some
like
spirit.
Pepsi and vodka.
Something.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. And so are you allowed back into South Australia? Are you going back to gather round?
I have flights booked.
Okay.
So I've got flights booked.
But you're not going?
Unlikely. Very unlikely. So I'm in a predicament.
Oh no.
So I've got my flights booked and with Virgin. And if I cancel, I get they charge you 100 of
Cancellation fee.
but big cancellation fees.
Yeah, it's massive.
So I think I stand to get like $170 back.
Right.
Now, the cheapest flight to Adelaide, I was looking the other day.
If you booked now.
If I book now, is $1,500 not direct.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
$1,500 not direct.
Jesus.
Via Singapore or something.
They'll be going via Sydney and stuff.
Via Sydney to Adelaide.
Yep.
Yikes.
So if I was to forego my flight, I get 170 back, which is less than what I paid.
I know what's happening here.
And then Virgin are going to resell it for $1,500.
Wow.
At least.
Probably.
More.
Like this is the
It's
direct Thursday, gets in an hour before first bounce Thursday night footy, Adelaide, Geelong.
It's the prime flight.
Prime flight. So I'm thinking, them.
I knew this was going to turn.
I'm thinking-
I knew it was going to be about
Another
spite.
ex-Ellis.
He would rather miss out on $170 than Virgin get $1,500.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
This is so you.
Yeah,
It's
no,
right
I'm
in
You're
your
going to
space.
sit on them.
I'm just going to sit on them and let them go to the ground.
But you're definitely not going there.
No, I'm not going.
Why?
I just can't. I've been away too much lately.
Oh, so it's not his decision.
Yeah,
No,
right.
no,
That's
No,
something
no, no.
with them.
I could easily go if I wanted to. I've been to Melbourne 5 times, I reckon, in the last 8 weeks.
You have been
Sometimes
travelling
you,
a lot.
after you travel too much, sometimes you just don't want to.
2 weeks
Just don't want
holidays
to.
coming up. I don't want to do anything.
Plus,
Yeah.
you've got to gear up because I'm going to Adelaide to work, but you wouldn't really be doing
No,
much.
no, no,
You
blow
would
it.
have to be on the beers every night,
Blowing a hole in it.
getting to all
Yeah.
these different footy games.
Gotta make your
You'd-
way to the Barossa.
You'd want to die
Oh,
halfway through.
100%.
You've got to be ready for that.
It's like when I came back last year. You remember pictures like World War I veterans getting off the boat and their wives are there waving their hankies. Welcome back, Charlie. It's been 3 years.
Hey, you're a changed man.
And they get off missing limbs and shit. That's how I felt when I got off the plane back from gathering. Anyway,
No disrespect to the World War I veterans who, of
No,
course,
no.
had it much tougher than Xavier Ellis did, having
That's all right.
14 beers.
no,
in a
I think
Pepsi.
there's only there's only one of
I
them left.
guarantee if the World War I veterans, if they would put themselves in my shoes, they would have gone, that was pretty hard too, mate. That was pretty tough.
I feel it. They invite you down to the parade.
Yeah, no, 100%. Don't get me
It
wrong.
goes Pepsi 10,
Yeah.
Gallipoli. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the difficalty
Well,
rankings.
have you seen
Mel Gibson's going to star in a
that
biopic
music
about that
they used to
Pepsi
play? That music they used to play, you know, off their record players and stuff. Mate, I was going hard to the pop bellies. Anyway, so no, I'm not going.
tent.
I'm not going. I'm not selling. And I'm not selling my tickets.
He's not going to the front
I always
lines.
wondered what would get you cancelled. I think this is it. I think this is the moment. It's the disrespect to the World War I veterans who apparently would have stared down the Pepsi tent and gone, you know what? We did some tough stuff, but not that.
There were landmines in the Pepsi tent too, where Redo kept spewing. Anyway, sorry.
I reckon they would have had some crazy old hooch in there at the front lines, though. They would be used to that kind of stuff.
Oh, my God.
Righto. Anything else from the do we need a table before we get into the teams?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty good. Yeah,
I think we're pretty good. All right, well, let's just kick straight into it. Why don't you let us up, Zach?
Yeah, all right, I'll start us off. I was going to throw you under the bus right now, but
what are we going to do? No, go give you.
No, I was just going to say that after all the grief you give me about my former car deal, I have seen you
I was waiting for this.
Oh, no.
for the last month. You haven't been able to walk with the back straight. You've got a stiffy for 4 weeks. You're driving this Toyota. You've been given a brand new Toyota by WA Toyota.
I have, yes.
It does not suit your image. It's good. It's it's
beautiful.
trendy. It's beautiful. It's big. It's strong. It's manly.
Prado.
What's this through? Which employee did you get this through?
You're a little Corolla, but you're a little Corolla man. That's what you are. You're a Corolla man.
Well, they didn't offer a Corolla. They offered a Prado. What am I going to say? No.
Wowee.
I just pictured.
What goes in the back of your Prado?
You pictured him.
Yeah, what do you put in the back of your Prado?
In the back of the Prado right now, there's my bag, my little leather bag, which is got my
Corolla.
Yeah, it's got the footy record in it and my
Corolla.
binoculars. Yeah. It's got an umbrella for when it rains.
Wow.
It's got a. Oh no, it's got my makeup bag. It's got a wet weather jacket.
So shout out to your mates. Shout out to your mates at Toyota. But you've got to actually match the car to the person. Because you should be in the tiniest little two-door thing.
Oh, they'll go at the end of the year and say, there was this Prado sales were on the way up, and then this is weird dip out of nowhere.
No, we love Toyota WA.
Just quickly before we get into the games, I want to touch on our TABtouch same game multis. Mine was just no good.
So you had 0-4.
No, I got to.
How many legs do you have?
I think I missed I had total points, and I think I missed it by half a point.
Yeah, and that was it. Otherwise, you would have had it.
No, there was some others. I think every leg.
I got the Whitfield and over 30. I got the margin, but why would I ever bet on Jake Stringer? Why would I ever assume to know what's going on in the packages world?
No.
I read into the narrative of he hasn't kicked a goal yet.
He's been shooting. He missed a couple again on the weekend.
He missed a couple of easy ones. So I'm annoyed at myself, really. It's not Jake, it's me.
Yeah, and I just got a bit fruity with mine. Every leg got up except for Brisbane by 100. So that cost me. I'll go back. I'll go back to that, though. I'll be back. I'll circle back to the 100. Don't worry.
Back to the well.
Hey, I'm going to start with West Coast today. Now, I've done a little bit of research, probably too much research to be able to get it all done in 2 minutes. But
way too much. Leading off with West Coast is a bold call.
No, I was going to skip them, but I'm going to do it. So I've gone through. I've got a theory that I reckon the WA kids being drafted out of WA over the last 6 to 7 years, back to 2018,
it's got a highlighter
have not been at the level around the country.
No.
At all.
So you rattled these off to me the other day.
Yeah, so I've put them in categories, and I'm not going to go through them. I'll go through them maybe in another podcast. We've got some time.
The best off the top
but
of
I've got stars. I've got stars. Could be a star / good player. 150 gamer. They've been around a while, but nah. Still not sure, but very unlikely. Already gone, and kids that really aren't singing, but potential.
It's a lot of categories.
We've
got 2 minutes.
No. So I'm not. That's it. So really quickly, like Chad Warner's the only star.
Yeah.
All right.
Only star.
Right. He's the only one.
All right. So
I'd put Darcy Jones nudging it.
No. He's in. Could be star.
Okay.
Could be star. He's not a star. But anyway, I've gone through West Coast. So they've had this ability where they draft a lot of WA kids.
They do
a lot. So I've gone back to 2018. And I've gone through the West Australian kids that West Coast have drafted, and it's been a strategy because they've split picks to take WA kids. Now, these are the names. There's 24 since 2018, 24 Western Australians drafted out of the waffle to West Coast.
Okay.
Now, these are the names. Luke Foley, Jared Cameron, Ben Johnson, Callum Jamison, Isaiah Winder, Jack Williams, Brady Hoff plays, Greg Clark, Rhett Bazzo, Ruben Ginby, Elijah Hewitt, Hamish Davis, Clay Hall, Bo Allen, William Collins, Null, Connor West, Ryan Burrows, Harry Edwards.
Null. That's not.
Is that not a name?
Null. No, that's not a name. That's just so it's come up as Null.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Well, to be honest, I was trying to not be.
No.
You know some of those names.
South Sudanese heritage.
So I didn't want to skip anyone.
It's like Nick's made this list.
Harry Edwards, Zane True, Tyrell Dewar, Jordan Baker, Cohen Livingston, Malik Champion. That is every Malachi.
Yeah.
I actually did think that Null was Null, but I was like, I just don't want to bugger it up because you know sometimes it's the
No, we get it.
So why would it be that anyway? So just extend, please. Well, I've got through those names.
Oh my God, I'm sweating.
How? That's 24 players.
Yeah.
That they've designed, and there's I don't think there's any on there that would get a game in a top 8
So
side.
that's since 2018. Is that include the 2018 draft?
Yes.
So that's what 8 drafts?
Yeah, it's a lot.
7.
So
7
who's?
drafts,
I'm interested in
24
the
players.
categories.
That's quite a lot.
I'm interested in the
That's
might be
3.5.
stars.
No,
Read out your might be stars category.
Might be stars. They've got this is from the actual Hulk state. Lawson Humphreys, Bobby Hill, Darcy Jones, and Jordan Clark.
Yep.
Luke Jackson.
Oh, Luke Jackson.
Yeah.
I would say he's a star.
No, he's not. He's not a star.
He's probably the best ruckman in the AFL the first month.
He's not a star. He could be a star.
He's not a star.
He's never won an Australian. Never won a best and fairest.
Okay, all right.
Okay, dragged his side to a premiership.
No, but I'm just saying, it could be a star. If he does that for more than 3 weeks, he could be a star.
All right.
But that's it. There's so many. There's 17 of that since that period.
So hold on. Your overriding point is West Coast looking local
too heavy
hasn't
locally.
worked.
There's not a single player on that list that would play in a top 8 side.
How many did they get last year? They got
I would say
only
Hoff,
one?
maybe. Jimby,
I'd say
maybe.
Hofford. I'd say Hofford. Hofford be in
Hoff
the
and
mix.
Jimby maybe.
Hofford be in the squad.
But it shouldn't be maybes. There should be some definite.
Yes, correct.
There should be some definite.
So yeah, last year was Bo Allen and
Was it only Bo Allen?
yeah, Clay Hall the year before.
Yeah, and they got a lot last year, so they're obviously changing tack.
Yes, yeah,
I would, and I reckon this is your point further. The WA
What's happening?
talent
Yeah.
coming
Well,
through.
they've just
happening?
done a major review of it, so
Well,
it's a watching
it hasn't
act.
been elite. There's just you're getting a lot of role players.
Of
and
those
guys who don't
24
quite get
players drafted since 2018 to West Coast, one maybe would play in a top 8 side.
there. Yeah, that is a worry. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to go Essendon, and I'm going to hit the bullet. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Wanted to
wow.
make sure I got that out of the way.
Why are we doing these sides straight off the top?
They didn't play, so and I hate talking about them anyway.
All right. Well, I'll bring
I
some
can't help
positivity.
them any more than I've tried.
I'll bring some positivity to the
Go on.
conversation. We'll go to Brisbane. And there is a kid running around there who has to be the most under-the-radar young gun.
If this is
in
Cam
the league.
Rayner, you have
No,
to.
he's about to break out. Jasper Fletcher.
Yeah, I was going to say, he
Oh,
looks
my goodness.
It seems funny. Like he's pretty much came straight into that side from the draft.
Yeah.
Hasn't left. Has never.
good. Is it the number? The
two or
number
three bad games.
change? Is the number change this year?
Changed to the 3. He changed to
That
the 3.
makes him look a better player.
It does.
It's a lot of responsibility.
But we've said this before. The reason no one talks about Jasper Fletcher is because of the Ashcroft's.
Yeah,
so they
of
get the
course.
father-son
Yeah,
gloss.
yeah.
No one talks about Adrian Fletcher's kid
I think it's because they both came in at the same time.
So Ashcroft was the bigger buzz.
And I was trying to figure it out. I don't think Jasper Fletcher's played. He might have played 2 or 3 bad games in 3 years. Otherwise, he just does his job and then sometimes goes above and beyond, which seems to happen in finals more often
So he's
than
playing
home and away
halfback
games.
now, right?
Now he's pushed to halfback. So that's 23 disposals, a goal, and 10 marks.
But wants the football too. You know when
Yeah.
those young kids are like, oh, I'm defending, I just don't want goals kicked. He actually wants the football now. Number 3 has never looked like taken a player's game up a level more than this one.
it makes a difference.
100% it does.
Mate,
What was he
kept
running
Joe
around
Danaher
here?
out. He was like 28, I think.
Yeah, he was a high number.
Yeah.
And now number 3. It looks
Yeah,
good
number
on him.
3.
His dad wore 2 for Freo, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
did wear
I
I don't know
read
what he
that.
wore
Freo.
for Brisbane.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. And then he was one other place as well,
Was it
wasn't he?
Kilda
Fletcher?
he played at as well,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I love
He
that.
was
I
a
think
bloody
it was,
good player.
Well, and that's highlights it. I think so Adrian Fletcher, very good player.
He was one of my favourites as a kid. I loved Adrian.
Yeah.
Jasper Fletcher in his first final, I think he kicked 3 goals, and I was like, he's now kicked more goals in finals than his dad in his entire career.
Brisbane Fagan will be pissed off, I reckon.
Why, the people know about him?
No, having watched the game, so remove Fletcher. Watching the Richmond game, they took the mickey and won by, 28 points or something in the end. Richmond, who lay down, that should have been 70, 80 points.
Yeah, they should have gone harder.
And they took the piss. And Clarko, who was with Fagan, Clarko used to go off his rocket with those games.
Yeah.
The ones that you win by even more. Ones you win by 10 goals and it looked like you took the piss or took the foot off.
Yep.
Smash.
Gets angry.
You get rolled by a good team and Clarko would find positives all through it. It's those ones that would set coaches off.
Yeah, right.
They're just getting it done, but they're undefeated.
I was going to say, is
Brisbane aren't-
this a really unconvincing 4-0 start?
Yeah, mate, remember when Clarko punched the wall?
Yeah.
My head was there, right on the other side of it. That was, I reckon, we were up by 10 goals at half time.
You just got angry.
Matt Suckling.
Is that right?
Suckers went through the corridor.
The pig.
Off one step. Poor old
pig.
Suck. All right, let's go to St Kilda. I need to tip my hat to St Kilda. I was well and truly wrong about them. They're sitting 7th at the moment.
Are we wrong, or is it just a good start?
No,
They
Port
did this
Adelaide
last-
away.
Did they do this last year?
But I thought they were going to be really pox. Port Adelaide away. That's a tip of the hat. But I'm going to ask, Jack Higgins, is he the best small forward in the competition?
He is excellent.
In the competition.
delivering,
and
eh?
the trade was a few bits and pieces around it, but technically it was virtually a second round pick from
Because he had
Richmond.
like was it a brain injury?
Yeah, he had brain.
Yeah, that's
he had,
right.
Yeah, and he
big
missed
He
surgery.
might not play again.
Yeah.
So he's in the last 2 seasons and the start of this season, he's kicked 84 goals.
Jesus.
Jack
Has he?
Wow.
Higgins. Yeah. Jack Higgins kicked 36, and he's third in the Coleman or second in the Coleman this year.
He
He's
hates
underrated,
Adelaide.
I reckon.
Underrated?
He doesn't get talked up enough. If he was
No.
at Collingwood, we'd be talking about him every day.
Well, he's better than Lockie
did.
Shields.
We did talk about him
Yeah,
every
he is.
day when he was
Yeah.
at Richmond.
Yep.
Yeah.
That just shows you.
No, but
the
he was a
Richmond versus
character.
St Kilda. But yeah, because he was a
Yeah.
bit of a character, but he was still playing well.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's a couple of quick small forward names going, throw them out there. So Lockie Schultz, we said Collingwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you take Higgins?
Yep.
I think he's
Although, I mean, Schultz is in really good form too, we should say. But Higgins, yes,
But that's why I
overall,
chose Schultz because he was good.
Yeah.
on the
overall,
weekend.
I'd take Higgins.
Higgins, I think he's probably the Australian forward pocket at the moment. And I loved his response post game to
Yeah.
Aaron Phillips. Someone will say to him, "Hey, Jack, mate, just don't need to pump
you
the
gotta
city
be
of
here for a
churches
week."
up. Don't pump the city of churches up if you don't want,
Hold on.
but don't shit on them."
No, do you remember last year we weren't allowed to say City of Churches?
Oh,
Do you
that's
remember-
right. They put out a
remember
release.
South Australia were like, we don't want everyone to call it the City of Churches.
That's fair.
And what was the
Yeah.
other one? There was 2 that we weren't supposed to say.
And don't mention the serial killers.
Josh, do you know?
Radelaide.
Radelaide. No Radelaide, no,
No
City
Radelaide?
of Churches. So then everyone doubled down.
Yeah.
Is that right? I
And just started calling it Radelaide and City of Churches all the time.
Came from the state government or someone as a media release.
Being a youngish sort of person, the city of churches doesn't quite sell it to me.
There are a lot of churches.
But I
though.
don't like church.
Have you've driven around Adelaide? There's churches everywhere, like on every corner.
Of course there are,
Hence
but I'm
why
not
it's the City
visiting.
of Churches.
I'm not visiting as a youngster to the city of churches to see churches.
That's something you do
They're
in
trying
the
to change.
60s.
Yeah, they're trying to change.
No,
their
it's not
shows.
Go to
something you do
Adelaide
ever.
and walk around and look at churches.
No, that's not what you do. There's 60,
Old
70,
people love
80.
that.
No, well, maybe if you're a Catholic or a churchy, but if you're not doing that.
People- go to
Old
Europe
people
and look at
love
castles.
That stuff. Okay, let's go to Melbourne. I wanted a couple of bullets. You gave me some shit teams this week, Nicholas. Thank
Did
you
I?
for that. Well,
No
you gave me
worries.
2. Okay, so out of the 3, and there's more Melbourne stuff to talk about, but out of the 3 winless teams, West Coast, Carlton, and Melbourne, which of the 3 would you bet your life on having a bounce and having an okay season from here?
West
It's not
Coast,
West, it's not
Carlton
West
and
Coast,
Melbourne.
clearly.
It's not Melbourne.
You
So
probably
it's
take
Carlton
Carlton got.
No, I think Carlton will win
Take a
10
talent.
games.
still.
Yeah.
So that would mean they'd have to go 10 and
50-50.
10 and 10 from here. Yeah. So on Melbourne, you know what? I know Trent Rivers played a little bit of midfield on the weekend. But why haven't we not seen any more of it? He was really good at the end of last year.
Yeah, but it's
I know.
so
We're clutching at straws
would
here.
Trent Rivers be playing in a top 8 side?
Oh, this is, remember he hates Trent Rivers.
No,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
just
right.
saying.
Yes,
like,
I
no,
hate
yes,
Trent
he
No,
would
Rivers.
be
but,
playing in a top
Melbourne,
8
yeah, of
side.
course he would.
He
Be.
would
But
be.
Melbourne supporters are like, we've got Trent Rivers. I was like, mate, every other club has Will Ashcroft, Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
Like,
I like Trent Rivers.
yeah, so do I, but he's not anywhere near a star.
Are they actually going to? They should sell one of their players.
Well,
That'd be
this is
a
what I
They
was
should
going to
sell
say.
them all. And
Petrarca, I get why he couldn't go at the end of last year and why Melbourne was so keen to keep him because they were in damage control.
Yeah, but
Oliver
now-
was half out the door. Petrarca was unhappy. Everyone was miserable. So let's just panic here. And
They're in love, though,
keep
now.
everybody. And everyone's in love, but you're not winning games.
Yeah.
If you're Petrarca and you're Melbourne, the best thing to do at this point is to separate.
The two things I've got
They're staying
right
together
in
for the
life.
kids,
The
and it's
two
not gonna work.
Yeah, they've had one marriage counselling thing. Now they say they love each other,
Yeah.
but deep down they hate each
Yeah.
other. The kids know that things are a bit rocky. at
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
do.
The kids sell.
And the kids are the fans.
But Melbourne, the two things I've got right. West Coast should have traded everyone 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melbourne have missed 1 year of that opportunity.
They got to go now.
and they've got to go now.
But I
And-
think that's Jimmy Bartell brought it up last night on one of the shows. You know, there are a lot of blurs. But there's no CEO and there's no president, like long-term president.
so who's
Yeah.
making the
So
decision?
there's the main decision makers aren't there to make decisions.
get me in there, and I'll trade everyone.
They need to listen to this podcast because you've been pitching for jobs for a while now. I've noticed.
You can be CEO
I have
I just
president.
want one club that I can trade people, and
I reckon-
actually in 5 years' time go, shit. Actually, having picked 2 on playing now after 100 games is pretty handy. Actually, it's like maybe we shouldn't have just traded them all.
All right, I'll swap to Gold Coast now. Here's a trade that I was kind of a little bit ho hum probably too ho-hum about. But Daniel Rioli is right up there in sort of one of the recruits of the year. The stuff that he's doing at Gold Coast.
He was so slow to get going on the weekend. He could have had 15 in the. He fumbled so many times. It was hot and a bit dewy and slippery and whatnot.
Took a while to get going.
Once he got going,
he and Noble have just sort of changed the profile of that. It's obviously what they wanted to do because they tried 5 or 6 guys doing that role.
They've tried everyone.
But those guys still, like Will Powell and those guys are still good players. But
yes,
Rioli is a class above. Like there's Noble.
Yeah, but then there's Rioli. Yeah.
Apparently, I was listening to something on the weekend. Apparently, they're like hanging out. Like they're mates now.
Well, the two of them.
Yeah, they've formed a friendship, and they're like the two new halfbacks, and they're just hanging out.
Yeah,
down at what's the really nice beach down there? There's a few of them, but what's the one that starts with a B?
What, Burley?
Yeah, I love Burley.
Burley's all right.
Yeah, good beer. Burley Heads beer.
Right.
Yeah, really good. You'd like
very
it.
nice.
See, no, I do follow Daniel Rioli's TikTok and Instagrams.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many worms in the beach there.
Doesn't he love fishing?
There's a few.
No, they've been
worms
good
on the mainland.
So they're 3-0.
3-0.
And 2 of them are away.
And
they're just looking like that.
Drawn or lost that.
They got North Melbourne this week as well, right? In Gather Round. I'm pretty sure.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure it's North Melbourne. Let's have a very quick glance. Yes, that one is at.
That was just
Barossa Park.
Unbelievable. The other one was Jet Walter, who just looked frightening. Like he had a bit. He still has a bit to put together.
It's hard to get too excited about the players they got for free.
Jet Walter.
Yeah.
Well, you better get used to it because there's more coming.
Yeah, there's heaps coming.
I hate it. Just
Jeff White's kid will be the one.
I absolutely love that they got offered the heat policy, the longer breaks. Both Adelaide and Gold Coast said, no, we don't want it.
What, you can turn it down?
They said, no, we don't want it.
I didn't know you could turn it down.
So yesterday when I'm at Optus and it's 19 degrees and in shade.
What was with that?
Did they have a heat?
Yes. They had heat policy yesterday.
For longer quarters. And for us broadcasters, we don't need extra time.
No.
Right? Like we just... It really stuffs with the whole program.
The players don't want to stand there for another 3 minutes or whatever.
Get on with it.
Going. All right, let's go over to... Western Bulldogs. So yesterday, there was a good game of football yesterday.
It was a great game of footy,
20 inside 50s more than Freo. They just went too quick at times.
Particularly early, they had a lot.
Yeah, they went too quick and they couldn't quite keep up with the footy, whereas Fremantle still had players there. So anyway, that was that. Aaron Norton, 8 years, $1.2 million a year, contracted to 2032.
Is he?
Ooh. I think that's becoming a pretty big issue. Would you try him down back?
So yesterday, it felt like there were 10 moments where Norton almost did something.
Yeah, but didn't.
That's been the whole year.
I know, but it's like the ball's slipping out of his hands. He's just slightly off on the shot. He's there for everything.
So he was drafted as a back.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and then he pretty quickly went forward.
I mean, they've got
and
Lob
had
back
a really
there.
good
Lob's doing really well.
Oh, next point was
Jones
Lob,
is really good too. So
and what are you doing?
I actually
Jones
don't hate it if it's feeding into Darcy playing the way Darcy's playing because Norton still attracts a crowd because he flies for marks, he creates contests.
He can crash it a bit.
He gives.
It's a $1.2 million effort.
Yeah, it's a different conversation if Hugo Hagen's
If he's
there
on
too.
600, you're fine with it.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's on double that. And 600 is low these days. So let's say he's on 800. You're probably still fine with that.
Feeding into my key forward theory.
Yeah.
Most
There's a few who are bucking the trend.
Position. Yeah.
There's a few.
Five.
3 in particular.
You got it down to 5?
5. Well, Hogan goes in, King goes out.
True.
Of course, Hogan, yeah.
Hogan
Which
in,
way?
King
Which
out.
King? Ben King.
Yep.
Who's the other? And then Tracy,
Darcy,
Thriller,
Hogan, and Lucky.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, big 5.
And Lucky's on
Should
watch
you make
warning.
it that you're only allowed 5?
5. I've got to drop one to get one in.
Yeah, I like that.
There's 5 forwards that are earning their key forwards.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good timing.
It's quite a harsh
on the buzzer
line.
there, Josh. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Adelaide because we talked about Gold Coast a little while ago. Geez, they get screwed by the umps, don't they, the Crows? So that's 4 times in 37 games where the AFL has had to come out and say, yeah, we got that wrong.
Yeah.
And look, I know you got to do that, particularly when it's late. But, man, it doesn't help.
It doesn't help. But also,
I love the Adelaide response. Yeah, like, cheers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Were you
Thanks,
watching Tim
guys.
Silvers? You sent thanks, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Were you watching at the time?
Yeah.
I was listening. Yeah.
Did you think...
I thought it was a mark.
Yeah, but did you see the free kick element at the time live?
I thought it was a free kick when I watched it back the first time.
I didn't
but
so
I
much
knew,
see a free kick.
You knew there was drama
I
about
already
it.
knew.
Yeah, so
I thought they should pay the mark, but the free kick, I was like, I didn't really notice.
I didn't notice the free kick, but then I'm like, he just crash tackled a bloke taking a mark. It was almost like it was a handball that Rankin was waiting for. It was open play.
Yeah.
Like, watching
Took
it back,
him out.
I'm like, how is that?
It was
missed.
It was fine in the first instance from Collins, but it just lingered for
We tackled him.
8
You
seconds.
can't
too
tackle.
long.
You can't put your arms
do
around
that.
anyone in a mugging contest.
Particularly, he didn't have the footy, so that should have been a kick. And who knows what would have happened?
We at
No,
least
he would have
scores.
slotted it,
He
mate.
at least scores. He would have.
Isaac Rankin
you
slots it.
You'd probably back him in 6 times out of 10.
Yes, his
from there.
former side.
The one thing I found really interesting, and I know we're sort of crossing over a bit, Noel Anderson went spare man in defence when the game got going.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So the Adelaide forwards were still the big three, and Rankin was
Yeah.
down there. And Noel Anderson as a spare, it just did not make sense. You're sacrificing winning it at the source.
So you didn't like that?
Hated it.
Yeah.
You're losing your best, one of your best stoppage players and your captain.
What would have Hardwick been thinking then? What would
Well, I
have,
think he just thinks put a good play down there.
yeah.
But technically, I would have put a big down there and let Mac Andrew be free or something. Just whatever.
Yeah.
But I just looked at Noel Anderson
What
going,
did you-
you're giving up your best midfielder
Yeah.
at the source to then sit behind in a position he doesn't play.
I've been harsh on the Crows because I don't think they've beaten anyone, and they lost the game. But I reckon they'll give them some credit here.
Oh, mate,
they
absolutely.
played really well. That was a great game of footy.
Yeah.
That was a great game.
It was
It was
a really
unreal.
good game.
What did you just quickly? Oh, no.
Jack
I'm going to talk
Foley,
about Mac
Christian.
Andrew. Just quickly, what's your take on it? Like it?
I don't
like
know.
it?
No, I don't like after the game. No.
Nah, and he didn't play well. Thriller had a great game.
Yes,
But I still
five
like
on him.
it. I hope this sort of sets those two up to
I do
play
love
each other every
look,
time
I'm
these
all
two
for the
sides meet.
I'm all for the byplay. I'm all for that, but just make sure you've had a good game before you're doing that.
He
Stuff.
had a good patch.
Yeah, Thriller had a great game.
Before I get into my next team, as a proud major sponsor of the Fremantle Football Club, Woodside has accepted the challenge of supporting local footy at all levels, from grassroots to greatness, so it can thrive throughout WA. Woodside, Australia's leading energy company. Well, let's go Collingwood. So last week, in the absence of content around Collingwood, because they didn't play, put up Lockie Schultz, and I was scoffed at. You people scoffed at me.
No, we didn't scoff.
And then he came
we just
out.
said he's got to do it for a bit longer.
And
before
and
can
so he
say
comes
that-
out and did his best,
Yes,
his best
he
on
did.
ground.
He was
Yeah,
very
he's
good.
Which
very good.
also says a little bit about how Collingwood are going. That what did he have? 2 goals and 18 touches and 7 tackles, and that's your small defender's the best player on the ground. Small forward.
Well, Nick Dacos got tagged. By
Yeah, I
Hewitt
know,
from
but
start
I
to
think it's
finish.
just kind of like they seem pretty flat. Like no one's really
Nah,
jumping
I'm all
above the
over
pack.
I'm all over Collingwood. I've had a couple of bucks on them. We're arguing about this. Yes, they're the oldest team in the competition on the weekend that's ever played or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd rather 34-year-old still side bottom
Yes.
against a half forward who's 21 and a nuffy. I reckon they're going great.
They're
and
just
I'm
doing what they need to
all-
do.
I suppose.
All in.
Yeah, but I suppose the question on the age thing would be, can you sustain it for a whole year with injuries?
Yeah, but the players that we're talking about have never not sustained.
I know, but every year it gets harder.
Yeah, but
doesn't
they
it?
just seem to be incredible.
They do. Sidebottom and Pendlebury in particular seem ageless, and they're managing Pendlebury really well.
Yeah.
He's now looking like he's in form
Yeah.
after starting as the
Out
sub
of
in that first
form.
game.
No, second game. First
Yeah.
game he fumbled.
Yeah, and
everything.
now he's
Yeah.
starting
That's
to look
right.
like Scott Pendlebury again.
Yeah.
He's looking
No,
good.
Everybody
all-
just seems
So
to
you
be
haven't-
playing it like on a 7 out of 10. But
Who
it's
do you have
working.
as Hawthorn? And then you have Collingwood, you said. Or a GWS?
Giants, Collingwood.
Collingwood third.
Yeah, but I've had an interest Collingwood.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So you're leaning
I don't have them that high yet.
I just think they've got
I think
three
they're just
competitive
beating
forwards,
teams that are
and
just
their
there.
smalls are good.
Memory
That
helps.
game was done and dusted.
True.
There's no way
Yeah.
in the world that
True.
anyone that
Dan
can't win
Houston,
that.
they took the 2. You think that's...
Yeah, just take the 2.
I
mate.
think take the 2.
I don't know what
That's,
Dan Houston was thinking.
yeah, me neither. He sort of said, the ball was there.
Is that him as a player? Even like that's now 2 reasonable suspensions, but he's not like
You don't think of him
He's
as
not
an
a thug.
enforcer.
no,
like,
he's not an
he's
enforcer. No, not a thug, but he's not an enforcer.
No.
So like, how's he getting himself in these situations?
Yeah. Sometimes you're just unlucky,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Now you can go.
All right, GWS. So back to you just heard then. I've got them probably second behind the Hawks, who obviously touched them up the week before. Josh Kelly, I thought maybe he was going to fall off the cliff. He's having a season career high averages. And to averaging 6.3 tackles a game. Like, that's not
Is he?
really, that's not what you really think with
No.
Josh Kelly.
No.
Where is the Giants' weakness? Where is the position that you think they'll be vulnerable on? I know Hawthorn beat them, but that game can almost be wiped because that breeze was not great for football in general. And
I don't think they have one.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the line that you're least confident in? You're pretty confident in all of them, but it's almost like the midfield. The forward line is flying, defence flying, midfield flying, but maybe
The weakness
slightly
is
less.
so far they haven't had the ability to close out big finals. So it's not
Yes.
it's not a personnel thing.
No.
It's a mindset thing.
But I think for
They
some
should have
reason
been in the grand final last year.
Yeah.
They should
Yeah,
have.
correct.
Oh, yeah,
So
correct.
those teams that had the early bye, there should have been 3 of them playing in the grand final. That's how big of an advantage it is.
Funny that. Yeah.
Anyway, so I've got question mark nowhere, but Darcy Jones,
Oh.
spectacular.
Yeah.
Someone did make the point because he's a WA boy and missed in the draft and that sort of stuff.
You just think he's going to be a star.
If he was playing for, say, West Coast took him.
They picked him pretty high, though. I remember that.
Yeah, they reached.
First
They
round.
went a bit early.
Yeah,
on.
100% they reached, and then he did his knee.
Yeah.
But it'd be a hard role to play in a shit team.
100%.
And he's got the perfect team with unbelievable runners, and he leads that pack with speed.
Well, clearly, Kingsley's just said to him, mate, you go when you want to go.
Yeah, it is.
We'll back you in.
He got on that open side, and watching West Coast midfielders plonk along in the middle.
Did you see
the vision of Duggo?
No,
the vision of Duggan was
not
horrible.
great.
Oh, no.
But-
yeah.
So for those who haven't seen it, Duggo's sort of with him about
On the wing.
3 metres behind, chasing, running his ass off, and then Jones
Pulls up.
gets rid of the footy and keeps sprinting.
Another 80
Duggo
metres,
stops,
yeah.
and then Jones ends up with it right in the goal square.
Yeah,
it
that was
wasn't
bad.
Um,
But there's vision of that. There was 3 minutes in, I videoed it, and the midfielders at West Coast were, honestly, I could have run that pace through the midfield at
Jeez.
3 minutes in.
Jeez, but what about
now you could run
now
that
I
pace?
could
So
run
then,
that
if
pace.
you can
That's
run
how
that
slow
pace,
they'll go.
imagine the man in the suit running around Jack
Oh, yeah,
Lake.
yeah.
He'd be lapping them.
Mate, Lake Munga, please.
Lake Munga, sorry.
She's not 1.2K, 3.6.
Okay, let's do Geelong. So they had the 11th highest mark tally of all time. These are some of the numbers from their defenders. Guthrie had 17 marks, O'Sullivan 13, Humphreys 13, Stewart 11, De Koning half rucked, half defended. He had 9. 63 marks between their 5 defenders. They owned the footy. They have a record under Scott of 92 wins from 111 games in Geelong. 92
incredible.
out of 111. And they haven't even been that dominant in that era.
that
Like, they've been good.
Did you hear
But
any
they
of
haven't
this-
been 20 wins a
Yeah.
season good.
Did you hear the Saturday rub?
No,
They hit Billy up and said, Bill, tell us the last time there was a good game of footy at that joint.
but it's true.
There's never
Teams
good
go down there,
games.
they get smacked.
Never good games.
Geelong hold the footy the whole time.
It always looks like it's dewy or something. Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best home ground
Yeah, it would
advantage
be.
in the AFL by
Yeah.
far.
No,
I
absolutely.
tried to think of who was better. I reckon Brisbane at the Gabba is high. Hawthorn in Tassie is high, but that's going to go.
Sydney at the SC. No,
Sydney-
Hawthorn just re-signed.
Oh, yeah, for a few more. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not going to be there for long.
What was Tassie going to happen?
Tassie's going to
Oh,
happen.
you need the roof. You need
Mate,
the roof,
Tassie
mate.
will happen. The
Throw the
AFL
hat
wants it.
around.
It'll happen. Gold Coast doesn't really have a.
No, there's no
I mean,
advantage
it's
there.
pretty. I
That
mean, they
should
win a
be.
lot of
Hot and
games.
Yeah.
dewy. Hot and dewy, that should be an advantage.
It's not bad, but I think it's clearly Geelong and Geelong, and the numbers suggest it is.
No,
Like,
it is.
That's an unbelievable record.
Don't they sometimes, through Geelong, get those stats out of the blue, like the most mark ever in a game?
Yeah.
And you're like,
But would I-
at what stage did they decide to take the piss in the back half?
I would like to look back at the fixtures though, and see who they're playing, because I feel
their
like
home
whenever
ground.
they have a really big game
At the
against a
MCG.
really good team, it's at the MCG. Like Collingwood never go to Cardinia Park. They haven't
No.
been since what, the 80s or
No,
something.
but that's like
It's-
Hawthorn's record in
it's absurd,
Tassie. They never
right?
play good teams.
They
do
just don't go there.
Other than the
So
Giants, I suppose.
you're kind of stacking the odds. Yeah, obviously, there's a GWS. There's those outlier teams who are low market
Yeah, correct.
teams, but they go there. But those numbers are skewed a little bit. But
mate,
it's
Which is
still
why another
dominant.
reason why they should play finals there.
Hawthorn
Just so
never.
someone can probably beat them.
Hawthorn never lost in Tassie, and if you went through it, it was like
Yeah.
the
It's the
small
interstate teams.
small interstate
or
teams
the,
who
or
were
the
going
small
no
Melbourne
good.
clubs.
And just quickly, Connor O'Sullivan too.
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
very
wait.
nice.
Into favour of Rising Star or something?
Has he been nominated yet?
No,
Today.
he
Today,
would
yeah,
be
the
today,
Murphy
yeah.
Reid was very good.
Yeah, but O'Sullivan was.
Hasn't Murphy Reid already? No, he didn't.
No,
No,
he
no,
hadn't
no.
yet.
We haven't done
better.
them yet. We'll get to Freo.
Is this back to me? Sydney. So keep on finding Riley Bice.
Oh, my man.
What are they? I mean, he
My
was
man.
there.
Yeah.
I was
They took
early.
him.
I was very early on Riley Bice.
he popped.
Do you know what?
on
I
the
was watching
weekend.
it on Saturday night, and I was kind of annoyed because everyone was getting so into Riley Bice, and I was
And
like,
you're like, I was there
piss
first.
off. I was there.
He was a large
3 weeks ago.
He was the
Yeah.
main reason that last 5 minutes against Fremantle why they won.
Yeah. He's kicking.
Oh,
True,
yeah,
true,
yeah,
true,
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kick-
the
I
kick
think
from
he
the
hit
boundary.
Hanley
Yeah.
when he was in
He
the
just kept-
on the 50,
on the
and he's
league, yeah.
turned it inside.
Just the counter to that is one of the. This guy is torching you, and they let him have 14 uncontested marks on a wing. Maybe spend a little bit more time on this guy.
No, but you
who's
watch
chopping
this
you
guy
up.
just fine. He's one of those dudes who
Find space.
he is relentless for the footy.
Yeah.
He's like some guys just. I need to get this ball. I'm going to sprint
Yeah.
as fast as I can to get to this space, and I know I'm going to get it if I get there.
So
I mean,
I
I'd
think-
be over-investing in Werribee Place.
Yeah, I was going to say, what I
Someone-
say, Mick
someone pick
Barlow's
up
Footy
Don Brew.
Factory
Yeah.
and got smashed for it.
You did get smashed. The Ovens and Murray.
Ovens and Murray League.
Yeah, yeah.
Good footy
Right.
league, Ovens and Murray. Yeah, Mick did say, like, you know how sometimes we get so caught up on things that players can't do?
Yeah, you got to worry about what they can.
Like, he's not the toughest inside player.
No.
but he's an awesome kick and a balanced game decision-making player.
His decision-making was
Like,
insane.
so maybe the 3 big ticks far outweigh the small
Yep.
Yeah, he's not
cross.
tough enough.
I couldn't be more all in on Riley Bice. I think he's amazing.
Still, they're just getting through Sydney. Their next run of games is Collingwood, gather round. Then they get Port Adelaide at home, Gold Coast away, GWS at home.
It's
At
an interesting
GWS's
run.
home ground.
They're banged up big time. Papley's out for 2 months now.
So they could probably take Port. Because
Mills has
Port
got
are no
the
good.
plantar fasciitis extension, which is never good.
No.
That
So-
thing, it always
Gordon's
back
leg
in
broke.
4 weeks, and then they start, and then they
Yeah.
come back. And
Nah.
It's tough. They're still in a tough spot, Sydney.
I mean,
If they can
those
duck and
three,
weave through.
Yeah, well,
Papley,
that's
Goulden, and Mills are 3 of their top 8,
yeah.
like quite easily.
So I think
Top
if they
6.
if they come out of this stretch 2-2, that's a win for them.
Oh, they just have to keep
Head
their head
above
above
water,
water.
yeah.
If they can keep their head above water till mid-season, they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah.
Let's go to a club that I am fond of. And I did a video for work the other day, and I said, you won't fool me again until you can show me you can do it again. North Melbourne Football Club.
Oh, wow. Haven't you been wrong about that?
Yeah, 27 scoring shots to 12, 57-point margin. I just don't actually have anything positive about North Melbourne.
You wanted to bullet them.
No, I didn't want to bullet them. I just...
It's not
What
bad.
what is it? Like, what... These names are not
Well,
doing much,
and we
they
just
did
highlighted
much.
who was missing from their opposition as well. Like Sydney,
Yeah.
missing half their best players.
And like Luke Parker was up against his old team, all this sort of stuff. Like there was things leaning into, they're backed off the map too, North Melbourne. Like they jumped at $2.15 or something.
I just never bought in. I just thought, kept looking at it going, yeah, I get it. They've added these guys, but Parker was not in Sydney's best team. Daniel was not in the Bulldogs' best team. Darling was not in the Eagles' best team. So they added all 3 of these guys who can add something, I guess, but they weren't going to just suddenly jump out of nowhere. But
No.
a lot of their talent that they've drafted, I mean, the big 3 are Sheasel, McKercher, and O'Sullivan.
I only watched bits
Sorry,
and pieces
Sullivan.
of this game. So did he go? Sheasel went back to halfback.
Sheasel roamed. Sheasel was on fire early. He had like 10 touches 10 minutes into the game. Like he had 12 in the first quarter. I reckon he had 10 in the first 10 minutes. Sheasel. He's got 92% of his football in the back half in the first quarter. Like it was just games on the line, and he's down there chipping.
They're not
around.
there. They're not even remotely there. They're still going to be a bottom 4 team. So
Yeah,
the
that
over-under
hurts.
was it 5.5? And you
It
took
was even more.
6.5?
Yeah, I think maybe more than
I just
Yeah, I
I
thought
could
you
never
could-
see
thought
them
they
getting
could
to
get
7
there.
or
Oh,
8
they'll
wins.
beat West Coast and Richmond. So there's 4.
Mate, Richmond, everyone keeps saying that with Richmond. Richmond have beaten Carlton. They've been in a couple of games.
Which one have they been in?
They were
They were
only lost-
92 down against Port Adelaide at
Yeah,
one
they
stage.
that was
competed
bad.
against.
That
And
was
Brisbane.
they were down by 60 against Brisbane. And they
Yeah,
took
and
their
they got
foot
it
off.
down to 28 points.
Yeah,
Like,
kicked
they're not
one
gonna,
last quarter.
I'm just saying, they're not. I wouldn't put it in permanent
Oh,
marker.
ink that.
Okay.
This will be boys off to Churchlands or Hale.
So let's do the Dockers. Really brave effort. Caleb Sarong was unbelievable. He had 38, 12
I
clearances.
think he's the cleanest player in the comp. They had 15
Very
clearances.
clean.
And he,
Yeah,
is
15.
it? Was it
15
15?
clearances.
Oh, I must
Yeah.
have read that wrong. He played every single second of the final term.
Well, the
because they
interchange became a bit of a concern.
Well,
There
they
was one person.
They had
then,
one
wasn't there?
man left, and they were low on rotation.
No, the rotations. The
the
app was saying
rotations.
they're up
Oh
over
yeah,
80.
yeah, that's right. There was only 4 left at 3/4 time.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah,
glitch.
but they had extras because of the heat policy because it was so hot.
Yeah.
Murphy Reid, this kid. Now we saw the 4 minutes in Geelong, and that was amazing. But what is better than that was yesterday. There was 3 or 4 instances, particularly late, when they were just out on their feet. And he just 50-50 situations, or even less, 40-60 situations, where he equalised or won the situation, ended up kicking the winner, which was mainly the
Well,
work
it's
of your
Joe
man,
McGurk.
Paddy
Yeah,
Voss.
Paddy Voss could have
But
won
he was still in
But
the right
also, yeah,
spot, and
Paddy
he was
Voss
charging
knew-
through.
Paddy Voss knew his limitations at that point.
No.
kid-
Voss is a team player.
yeah,
mate.
yeah.
This kid is a star. He's going to be a midfielder. He's absolutely going to be a midfielder. I know the people close to him were stunned when
Yeah.
he fell that late in the draft. Like Freo have just been gifted one here. Shea Bolton looking better and better as a connector.
Still trying to do...
I agree, but you can already see, and the other one is Reid and the other one is Dudley. Those 3 guys.
That's why I reckon Dudley, and we argued about this in the box, I'd play Dudley over Switkowski.
I like
Didn't
them all
kick
in the
goals.
team, but
Yeah,
but
well,
I just think those 3 guys
Well,
right
just
now.
The energy and the edge of
Yeah.
Dudders and that.
What were they running at? It was like 70% from inside 50s
Yeah,
in the early days.
which they need to get more
And they
inside
need more
50s.
course they
people
do.
like him who, if
But
the
normally
ball,
it's the other way. Normally they get a ton of inside 50s and can't
That's
Can't
right.
make anything of it.
But if the ball hits the ground and he's there, he can figure out how to make it a goal.
I'm still wary of the key forwards.
We spoke about Darcy this morning. You wouldn't play him regardless, but I just think it's kind of crazy how Darcy's ready to come back and Jackson's out now. Like, when are these guys ever going to get a run at playing together?
I don't think he's ready. I think he is.
Oh, look, he played a full game, so you could put him out. And I don't know if they will or they won't. I think Longmuir wants to play him. The strength and conditioning guys might have an argument against that.
Filthy Phil.
Yeah, exactly, Phil Merriman. But Jackson won't play. He's out 2 or 3 weeks for the hammy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a blow. He's been playing really well, although you don't think he's a star.
No. My column is
segment.
could be a star. It could be a star for sure.
I think he
He's a
is.
star. Port Adelaide,
So I've checked the cabinet.
1 and 3.
It's round 4. You can't be all Australian in round 4.
Yeah, he could be a star at the end of the year.
Mate,
If
we
they're
need,
having
we
a
need a
meeting-
behind the
if-
scenes
if-
one.
If they're having a meeting right now in
He's
round
probably
4,
there.
he even DeConing are the 2 ruckmen they're discussing.
No, I don't disagree. But
And
at the
DeConing
moment,
gets it because he plays for a big
at the
Melbourne
moment, you're not getting a star category with Chad Warner after 4 games.
So that's not going to AA.
Yeah,
That's
it's
an
a
A
star.
plus. Port, I think we're just in now, they're just not good enough territory. Like, for all the hype and they've been able to get it done over the last few years and now their coach changed, they're just not good enough. They've got 3 match winners and they need all 3 firing.
I see a
be
stat
able to
about
compete.
Rosie. It was the first time someone's had 20-plus disposals and not had a score involvement since. There was only one other time.
Did he
it's
not have
happened.
a score? Oh, well, he was only,
Oh,
he
yeah.
scraped his way to 20 plus because they were putting a lot of work into him.
Do we overrate those players? Like, who would you rather, Sarong Brayshaw or Rosie Butters?
That's a very good question.
Well,
Can I go 50-50?
I'm just way too into Zach Butters to answer that question.
Yeah.
So
I think he's everyone to take Zach Butters.
Butters' first game back was pretty good.
At
Yeah.
30.
Like, he was probably the one. Horn Francis actually got him.
Hall Francis was
Yeah,
best.
he was very good.
Finally, he's
Um,
had a really quiet start to the season.
So they're just not good enough. They're not going to get there. But the one sort of positive, and I was watching that last quarter, and I think Sam Powell-Pepper's just one of the guys you'd love to have in your side at that point. Like, every contest that he got to, he was trying to affect,
Yep.
throwing his whole body into it.
Do you know what I'm annoyed at? I'm always been off Port.
Yeah.
And this year, the over
Well, you think people
it
are
was the
jumping
first time I went,
Yeah.
you know what?
They
I'm
just do
sick of
it.
being wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be wrong again.
So
and
what do they
going
do
the
with
other
Ken?
way. Well, I've said this a couple of weeks ago. I reckon what happens here is this keeps trending the way it is, and they got a hard game this weekend. We'll get into Hawthorn soon. But I reckon it's heading towards when's the first showdown?
Yeah.
Ken tells his team at the start of the week and goes, guys, this is it for me. Let's go out there and belt the Crows.
Yeah.
And then he walks off into
Yeah,
the
That's the perfect world for Port.
isn't it?
The
When is
perfect
it?
world for Hawthorn would be Jack Ginnivan wins and then tells Kenny to get on a plane because he hasn't got a job.
Yeah, that's true.
That's this week. There might be a bit of heat in that.
Round 9.
We'll get into that.
The first showdown's in round 9.
Oh, that's a while away.
That's a while.
I don't know
You
if
gotta
they can
hang
make
on.
it. I don't know if they can get to round
I reckon
9.
round 9 might be about right.
Yeah?
See you later.
'Cause
Shake
it's
hands.
gonna
and
have
go
to-
off in the
But it's
sunset.
clear by that stage it's off the rails,
gotta be his
or
call.
it's back on the rails and it's going.
Clearly, they're not going to do it. So he's going to have to be the man to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to have to walk away.
Yeah. But it's fine to do that.
Yeah.
It's also fine.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're going into that.
Oh, he's been a great
3
coach.
and
And
6 or
particularly if
whatever
you're Damien Hardwick and have another sweet gig lined up
Yeah.
and you just spend 6 months in Europe.
Carlton, where do you start? I think they'll still wallop West Coast this week. They're the number 1 team of the name doesn't match the grading in being an A grader, B grader, C grader. I think we put these names down on paper and go B grader, and I think they're probably closer to a C minus. They have so many players that names, just plain and simple now, are nowhere near what type of footballer that we think they are.
Fair enough.
Number 1 in the league.
So you.
Sard, for example, Doherty, for example.
Those sort of guys.
McGovern, for example. Those sort of guys, I
Yeah.
think they're just scrappers.
Nick Haynes.
Haynes,
Yeah.
they're everywhere. Motlop, they are from top to bottom. We naturally put their players up one rung higher than what they probably are.
I definitely think we do overrate their star power because they've had so many number 1 picks and so many guys coming through that you're like, oh, how good are they?
Yeah.
But it's the chemistry and the cohesion.
Doesn't
it doesn't work.
No.
Nothing works
No.
there.
So who's it? A graders would be
Cripps.
Cripps, Wiedering.
Cripps and Wiedering.
And
And
Curnow.
Curnow when he's healthy.
Yeah, when he's going, but
Those
he's not
three.
going.
That's
He's
just
not
the
going
three.
now, but he's
That's
an
it.
A-grade talent.
So I think I mentioned this on Friday. I mean, you said they're going to beat West Coast, and they should, and they will. If they don't, that's it. I reckon that has to be it. Like
For who?
Well, for Voss, how
Voss.
does it not be it? Like
yeah, fold the club.
that is
Pack them up.
Send them
that's
to
got to
Tassie.
be the full stop. I mean, you can't lose to West Coast with the team West Coast has right now. You can't. You just can't.
No,
So
they
what are you
can't.
doing? You're just running out the clock?
No, you can't.
There'll be
I'm with
0
you.
and 5.
I think
you
you're
can't.
right.
And Voss has been there a while now. You know, they've had chances. They've
So
set
this is
themselves
it.
up for. I think so.
I think
So
you got
Voss-
credits.
But I
They
fully
made a
expect them
prelim.
to come out and win that game, and they'll probably go flat track bully and beat them by 80. Like that'll probably happen.
But he gets credits for taking them to a prelim. Did they make a prelim? Am I making that
Not
up?
last year.
No, not last year.
Yeah, a year before Brisbane.
Yeah.
Kicked the first 4 and then Brisbane railed them.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll stick it out no matter what. He's got another year after this on his contract, so there's a while to go. Although the way those contracts work,
It is tough viewing. Like Sam Walsh, for example. Like he's another perfect example of
What
people
happened
think
there.
he's an A grader. Well, maybe he's just a B grader. Is he no different to a Newcomb Warple sort of combo?
Yeah, they're not getting flogged in any of these games, but they're also you never really feel like they're going to. Put it
They were
away.
never winning Collingwood.
No,
Like,
that
was
one was-
arm's length all game.
That one was so lifeless,
Yeah.
considering what was at stake.
Yeah.
Let's do Hawthorn. So they had the bye. This is sort of linked to that Port stuff. What are we expecting this Sunday with Ken and Jack Ginnivan? Is it fireworks? Is it nothing? A Port a little sheepish because of the results on the weekend.
I think they're
And I think if we
sheepish.
know the Hawks, they're going to come out with extra.
Yeah,
spunk and
Hawks
swagger.
won't. Yeah, they'll have not the Port Adelaide do their wrestling. Wrestle. Oh, we're so tough. Wrestle. Whereas Hawthorn will just have the full blown swag.
Do you reckon Ginnivan kicks the goal and goes to plane
Yeah,
celebration?
100%.
Yeah. Brad Weir.
100% he'll be on the plane.
He will.
Absolutely.
He will, right?
Especially if it's a second half goal and the game's done.
Yeah, it's the sealer.
He's on the bird. Don't worry about that. He's 100. I reckon they all will be. I wouldn't be shocked if 18 of them started flying around the field. Like dead set.
And this idiot in his
I mean,
living
a
room.
Pepsi suite.
He won't be. He's not allowed at the Pepsi suite. He's been banned from the Pepsi suite. But he'll be running around his
Oh,
room
yeah.
on the
Yeah,
couch, wings out, doing the whole
Hawthorn
thing.
shirt on.
But don't you think, like, the whole wrestle again on the weekend where they went and got after Winhager because Winhager,
Yeah,
first
I know.
goal to Horn Francis,
Yep.
another big wrestle,
Yeah.
zero response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Higgins coming, did you hear Jack Higgins post game? He's, I jogged down and had to go find the skinniest bloke on the field, so I got after Jace Burgoyne.
Very good.
Jeez, that's a late finish to the round. 5:20 p.m. Sunday that game starts.
Yeah, I think we all expect Hawthorn to just really
Yeah.
put the foot down on that one, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's going to be probably. It's a finish to gather round. It's meant to be a big stage, but Port just aren't ready for that stage at the moment.
No.
They're just nowhere near it.
Richmond. So this is the perfect sort of rebuild. What's happening right now? They're running out there. Some games they're competing. Some games they're going to get smashed, and that's just going to happen.
Yep.
But they come away and there's kids every game. You're like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a big tick. So there's Sam. So is it Lawler?
Lawler. Yeah.
Lawler.
Yeah.
Sam Lawler did it again. 2
He was
goals,
so
24
good.
disposals, 10 score involvements.
Yeah.
He's probably in the box seat for Rising Star at the moment. It sort of fits the narrative.
think
Number
so.
one pick. Everything
Yeah.
else, but he's delivering 10 score involvements is huge. And I think he's in the top 5 of the comp for score involvements for the whole year.
I think the theory was was that he'd be a slightly slow burn,
Yeah, that's right.
but that's not the
I
case.
thought he'd just sort of make his way in a pocket and
Yep.
He's good.
He's killing it. He's actually, if you want to talk about small forwards for the year, he's one of the better performing ones across the comp.
He's been excellent.
I'm off Richmond, but I'm so on Richmond in terms of rebuild.
Yes. Well, that's it. So
I think this is the 2 years that are going to be they're going to be woeful. And well done, they've won a game already. Could potentially not win one to the end of the year. Whatever. But they are already
They're doing what they need to
They have
do.
leapt in front of. I know St Kilda won on the weekend.
yeah,
Port
West Coast,
Adelaide.
Essendon.
I would rather be grabbing that list than any of those. Than 8 other lists
And the other-
straight away.
The other one, I love what he's doing already, and this is where he'd probably be in the squad in most clubs or like nudging selection, is Luke Traynor down back.
Yeah, he looks nice.
195 centimetre defender, just doing what he needs to do,
Yep.
impacting pretty much every game. Like
He
he's
uses
one
the
you're
ball-
like,
he uses the ball well.
uses the ball really. Sometimes he tries to bite off a little bit too much, but that's
okay
kids.
at this point.
But that's what there's 2 blokes. So you're like, that's 200 game Richmond player potentially.
The difference too for someone like a Taranto, Tom Lynch, etc. When they come off the ground, Nick Vlosten, really good former champions. Champions being premiership players.
Yep.
When they're losing by 5 goals or 28 points, you can cop it. Like you can find like that was fun. MCG,
Yeah.
we only just lost. Boys had fun. We
Yeah.
all got a kick.
It's okay.
And then flip it over to Jeremy McGovern
Yeah,
getting piped by 80s.
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go, well, that's not fun. And it's not what I like doing. I know you get paid really well, but I can imagine Tom Lynch v. Jeremy McGovern, if it plays out where Richmond are competitive in more games than you think, it's so much more fun to be in one camp than the other, even though you're losing.
They still have a couple in the cupboard too. Josh Smiley and Taj Houghton did
limited minutes in the VFL
and
on the
Houghton's
weekend.
out,
Smiley,
I think, for the year, the whole year or most of the year.
Yeah, something like that.
But they've still got 2 more in the cupboard. I reckon the key is you've got to be in on the right draft.
Yeah.
Because if you stack the deck like what we saw with Essendon when they had the 3 firsts, it was like, cool, but it's not a great draft.
But was that off COVID, that draft?
Yeah, it was around that time where you don't really want to be in there. No. Last year was the draft to get a lot of picks.
Yeah,
so the timing of that
they needed to do.
was perfect. So it's not as simple as go and get 4 first rounders. No. You need to be able to project and go.
I'd still rather 4 any time.
Yeah, but what about the Essendon draft where you're just not going to get 3?
But that's 1 in 10 years. Like, I'll take the 90% chance you're going to get better players. Just
but again,
fill up. If you need kids.
I question all the development systems there because everybody would have picked those players at those picks, right? It doesn't necessarily mean they're duds.
It's a bad year.
Well, yeah, but also, did they do the right thing once they got there? Because they have talent.
Yeah, there's a development part of it.
Yeah, there's a big
development part of it. But I do think some years are better than others.
Some years are definitely better than others.
There's just better crops.
Oh, this one, Murphy Reid was 17.
Yeah, it was a very good draft.
All right, I think that's us done for the day. This has been the Hardball Gets AFL show brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.